a lot of, what we do really boils down to the operations, the staff, people friendly, the reviews. To me, it's basic stuff. To us, it's really basic, but I'm just shocked that a lot of these properties out there in the boutique hotel space, 10 million and under, just not being optimized and not being ran correctly. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report Saturday edition. And I got my co-host, Miss Jennifer Booby. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Rich.
Yeah, I think this is the third time you've been on the podcast now, twice as a co-host on the Saturday edition and once with a full episode. This is back probably 6-7 months ago.
Yeah, third time's the charm. It's
Third
amazing.
Yeah, I love it. And we got Christmas here in 2 days. Any big takeaways for the year before we hit 2024?
Oh gosh, I feel like this year has been full of so much growth and excitement and like huge successes for the team. I think especially with the 2 hotel deals that we got towards the end of the year, launching the one here in San Diego and then acquiring and launching in a quick turnaround time, the one up in Washington. I feel like it's just been a very Merry Christmas and all of our hard work and, blood, sweat, and tears has really come to fruition. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's like, enjoy it, but come early next year, we're gonna have to get gear up for another one.
Do it all again next year, right?
So a couple of the folks in our mastermind, shout out to Jaden and Shane. But they locked up a really, really nice deal out in Northern California, right there on the coast, just an hour outside of San Francisco. 44 units, been in the family for like 35 years. And the son who took over is just ready to just get rid of it and move on. And so this thing, nice looking asset, early 1990s construction. And so we're going to pick this thing up, put a little love into it, and excited for it. I honestly think, we're going to partner with them first of all, but I honestly think that this particular deal has the most potential out of all the deals we've done.
Really? And why do you think that is?
Great looking asset. All 44 units have bay views. We're picking it up at a really, really good price point. Based on what I've seen in that market, there's limited supply of hotels and a good amount of tourism. And touring some of the other hotels in the area that are not going to be nearly as nice as this one will be once it's done are performing very well.
Amazing.
And so from a supply demand standpoint, it makes a lot of sense, but it's just a good looking asset. Some assets don't look that great. No matter what you do to like renovate them, paint them, they're not going to look gorgeous, but this is just a good looking asset. And this is an asset that I'd love to hold for quite some time.
Love that.
They were able to negotiate this deal. And then they came to us and said, hey, do you guys want to partner? And do you guys want to manage it? And so we thought, I'd love to. So it's an opportunity for all of us.
I love it. And I love like almost the succession story that comes with it too. I mean, you spoke about the son who's kind of tired of managing it and thinking about the different opportunities that his life is now going to have because he no longer has this hotel that he didn't want to be a part of. Like it reminds me of another hotel property that Excelsior Stays manages for a third party client up in Oregon. It's a beautiful property. And the owner, she poured so much love and devotion into it and every single one of her guests, but you could look and see in her eyes when she handed over the keys and she just realized like it was such a weight off of her shoulders to not have to like be on call 24/7, to always be worrying about the inn. Like she's getting to spend time with her kids and her grandkids and she's actually down here in San Diego now. It's incredible the opportunities that it opens up for those former owners who are just ready for the next chapter in their life.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And it's a win-win for both parties, buyer and seller. And hopefully that's how most transactions should be in all reality. This one was funny because we went up to tour it a little while back and they have all these terrible reviews because the innkeeper who's currently living in one of the units living on the property is just not the friendliest person. And the owner doesn't want the innkeeper to know that it's being sold. And so the broker was like, hey, like go visit, but don't tell anyone that it's being sold. Just pretend like you're a guest.
You're kidding.
Yeah, Lauren, myself, and Shane, we like roll up there and we go to the front desk and we're like, hey, like we're just checking out the property. We're looking to, book some rooms for a future event that we're going to be hosting.
Yeah.
A few weeks from now, we want to maybe check out like 4 or 5 rooms that you have. And she's like, well, we don't do groups. But the hotel next door does.
Really? You're kidding.
This is literally, there's not one car in the parking lot.
Jeez.
Literally out of the 44 units, there was not one car in the parking lot. And so I was like, well, it's going to be a small group. I said, it's just going to be 4 of us. What are the chances we could just look at a couple rooms?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, we don't do that. I was like, okay. What are the chances we could just like look at like one of your rooms?
Sure.
and just to walk around the property. And she's like, no, she's like, you can go to the hotel next door.
Oh
We're just
my
like,
goodness.
okay. And then we kind of took our time, like, figuring out like, well, what are we going to do? And she was like, hey, you guys are trespassing. You guys got to get off the property. So we're like, holy cow. So we leave, call the broker, like, hey, like, this is what happened. Like, what do you want us to do? So they're like, hey, just book a room.
Oh, wow.
So we go and do our due diligence in the market. We go tour all the surrounding properties. All the other innkeepers are like super, super friendly. So there was a hotel right down the street. It was 15 units. And this hotel down the street had 14 of the 15 units occupied. And the innkeeper was super friendly.
Oh, great.
Well,
I mean, hospitality, right?
Yeah. That was the only difference. But anyways, I say all this in that, in this space, a lot of, what we do really boils down to the operations, the staff, people friendly, the reviews. To me, it's basic stuff. To us, it's really basic. But, a lot of these, I'm just shocked that a lot of these properties out there in the boutique hotel space, 10 million and under, just not being optimized and not being ran correctly.
Definitely. And I think it's also hard. I kind of empathize with them to some extent. Like if they've been in that property and in that business for, 40 years, or their parents had the property and operations, like you inherit a lot of baggage and you just start to collect things. And so it's hard when you're, in the midst of all of that to really have a fresh perspective or to, have that energy to optimize. Like there's a phrase that I've heard before. I don't know who invented water, but it wasn't a fish, right? So when you're surrounded and you're just like drowning in all of this that's around you, it's really hard to come in with a fresh perspective and have the energy to optimize and to create the specific systems and processes that the property may need to change with the times appropriately. So
yeah, absolutely. So for the listeners that aren't aware, so Jennifer leads our hospitality side, and you have a ton of experience, launching and operating a lot of our short-term rentals in the portfolio, but also all the boutique hotels. And I believe now we're in like 9 markets, I want to say, maybe 10. So I really wanted to dive deep on, what's it like launching? I mean, 2 hotels and basically back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
We had the hotels in Dell here in Lit, Italy, which we just renovated and launched, 24 units. And then next week, you guys flew up to Washington, and we closed on the Washington deal. And I wouldn't necessarily say that was a big like renovation at launch. It was really just we closed on the property, just kind of changing hands, taking over the keys and that sort of thing. But I guess my biggest question, and I think the listeners want to know, operating these properties remotely as a hotel, what is the biggest challenge there?
I would say always have a backup plan for your backup plan. And we're constantly learning that with, different properties in different, in different markets and different sets. Like with the one up in Washington, it's 40 units. With the one here, it's half of that. And so it's kind of like, even with properties of different scales and size, like your backup plan that you had originally set for one property may not be a cut and paste for the next one. So every single time is very unique, but I would say time and time again, just having a backup plan for your backup plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Regarding the one here in Lit, Italy, I know there was a lot of moving parts. We had a renovation, we had a design team, there's furnishings, there's punch list items. I'm glad that deal was kind of like in our backyard because like it was just easy to pop in and out of there. So that was kind of nice. And I'm like, man, I want to do more deals here in San Diego because of it, but I also believe in the market.
Definitely.
But that said, leading up to the launch week, what were some of the biggest challenges?
Definitely. So I think like one of the biggest things was for us, like we really wanted to, as soon as the property was feasibly ready to host guests, we wanted to make sure we had a full house, which we did have a sold out weekend, our first weekend, which was very exciting for a big celebration for the whole team. But I think one of the biggest challenges for us was probably timeline. Like there were a lot of different moving parts, both with construction and design and operation side that, we were trying to work them all parallel so that as soon as any of them were done, we were ready to host guests. So it wasn't necessarily like a phased out thing where you had construction finish and then design come in and then operations come in. Like everything had to be working in sync. And so I think that was really cool. Definitely a challenge that it posed for us, but I think, seeing it all come together in the end was great.
Yeah. And, I think early on when you first launch any property, and this is true for like a single family Airbnb, it's like you really want to drive those reviews.
Yes.
Because it really sets the tone for the whole thing.
Yes.
And, getting one negative review when you only have 5 really weighs down your average versus, you have 300 really good reviews and then you get a negative one, it's like, okay, well, it doesn't really do anything, right?
Absolutely.
And so talk a little bit about, what the importance of like driving those reviews early on, and what are some methods that you can utilize to drive those 5-star reviews early on. If you love real estate investing, passive income, and tax benefits, but don't have the time, my company, Summers Capital, is buying boutique hotels right now. We source the deals, we renovate the properties, and we even handle all the day-to-day management, making it truly hands-off for our investors. If you want to learn more to see if we can help you, visit summerscapital.com/invest to book a call with our team. Again, that's summerscapital.com/invest. Now back to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think making sure that, you've got most exposure and most coverage right from the get-go is really important. I think, especially from a management perspective, your first several guests that come in, you really want to closely monitor and have a personal touch with those guests that are coming in. So yes, you have, you've set up all of your automated messaging and all of the traditional elements you put in place to make sure a guest has a good stay. But you also want to be following up, and like even you personally as a manager, checking in with your VAs and checking in with those guests personally to make sure that they're enjoying their stay and seeing if there's any little touches that you can do to enhance their experience. We've partnered with several influencers to come into the property, especially for Zindel, and post some amazing content for us. Just give them a chance to experience the property and all the amenities that there are for them. And so that's been really exciting. I think that definitely helps drive reviews, but it's tricky sometimes because you get some curveballs thrown at you. I know even before we had launched the property, we had a Google business account that was up, and it was our new property name. It was the address, and I'm pretty sure it was a guest from the old property, but of course we hadn't been operating yet. He definitely wasn't a guest of ours, but he left this scathing 1-star review, and I got a notification that we got a review, and I thought, oh, how exciting, we got our first hotel review. And then I looked at it and I was like, we're not even operating. Like it must have been for the old hotel. So we had to shut that account down and start up a whole new one. So sometimes you get little curveballs thrown at you, but I think like just making sure that you have the biggest breadth and most diverse range of assets and marketing working for you is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Our VA's got to be busy with these two latest properties that we brought on.
Yep.
Because we got, is it 3 full-time VAs?
Yes.
It's 3.
Yes.
But there's usually only one on at a time, right?
Yeah,
And
they have a little bit of coverage sometimes
overlap
during our busy times, but yeah, usually they're manning it all by themselves. They do such a great job.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of guest communication, especially with all the different properties. And I mean, there could be a Sunday where there's, potentially 65, 70 guests checking in with questions. We're going to have to hire some more VAs.
Yes, in the works.
Cute. It's in the works?
Yep,
You're right.
Yep.
Okay. You guys are 2 steps ahead of me.
Well, yeah, Andrea's on top of it. She's always, checking in with them and making sure that the VA's workload is appropriate and giving them the resources and the help that they need. So.
Yeah, I love that. So when we took over, I'm always surprised, when we took over the Black Sands Inn, that was 10 units, beachfront up in Northern California. That was the first one that we bought.
Beautiful.
Yeah. What I was surprised by, like, we just threw these rooms on like Airbnb, Vrbo, all these different OTA platforms, such as like hotels.com, booking.com, Expedia. And all of a sudden, like the revenue just like quadrupled overnight.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was shocked by like these mom and pop sellers, by like how few platforms they're actually on and like utilizing. And it's like, dude, you've been operating this property for 20 years and you never once got on a lot of these different platforms. It just blows my mind.
I think it's fear-based, honestly. I think with the surge of all these different platforms or OTAs that you can get on and list your property, there's a lot of intricacies and different settings that you have to make sure are right, or different contracts that you have to sign. And so I think if I was a hotelier that had been in the same property for 20 years or so, like to all of a sudden get hit with all these other different platforms and these questions and these things to fill out, like I can imagine that would be pretty daunting too. And so I think they, more so just put themselves in the mindset of stick with what they know, which 1 makes you comfortable, but 2 doesn't allow you to grow. So I think it's honestly a lot of fear of risk.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. I think for us, we've been talking about like, as we move forward, we wouldn't really transition out of more of the single family management stuff, the Airbnb stuff, and really focus solely on the hotel growth and managing more so the boutique hotels. Doesn't mean we're going to like cut off all these single families that we are managing. Yeah. Some of them are our properties, some of my properties as well. And I definitely want to keep them. They're doing great. But that said, like we've definitely noticed with this, interest rate environment, definitely noticed that some markets that we're in, that we're managing in, from the Airbnb perspective, are a little bit oversaturated.
Yeah.
ADRs are down, occupancy's a little bit down. And so definitely seeing that. But, I've been saying this all along. I truly believe that this boutique hotel thing, I mean, it's the next big thing, and no one's really talking about it. We've been talking about it, but, I'm just shocked by, like, I go on social media and I still see like all these people just shoving Airbnb content down people's throats and coaching programs and come out here and do this and that. I'm just like, dude, like, if it was really that lucrative, like, why are you pushing your coaching program so much? You know what I mean?
Sure. And I definitely think there's a part of it too, like, and boutique hotels and that entire field is going to experience it later on down the road as well. But like, I feel like we're past that big boom of Airbnb. There was a time where it was like, yes, if you get in on it right at the cusp, but when it's becoming popular, you can be really successful. But I think like now that we've already reached that peak and past that zenith and we're starting to go downhill again with Airbnbs, I think, you've got to figure out what that next climb is going to be. And I feel like with boutique hotels, we're at that peak. And so hoping, more people will join us and then, get in on the game early before it becomes another big boom again.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think with the hotel stuff, it's important to remember that there's different levers that you can pull. It's not like buying a single family home to where no matter how much you increase that income, it's still going to be worth the same price. It's still going to be worth whatever the sales comps are comping out at. But, with the hotel stuff, it's commercial real estate. So it's valued based on the comp system. It's valued based on how much income these properties generate. So if you can buy an underperforming hotel, you can increase the income, you can decrease the expenses, you can quote unquote force your appreciation, which gives you a lot more control, and especially in like a volatile economy that we're in right now. Which I love, and then you can negotiate seller financing, which is very common in this space. And so there's a lot of different levers that you can pull in the hotel space versus traditional Airbnb. So for me, I believe it's just a matter of time. But I believe it's the next natural progression for all these Airbnb investors out there to get into the hotel stuff. And so we'll see where it goes. But I know for us, we're like, hey, we're all in on this. We launched our boutique hotel fund earlier this year. And we're gonna buy all these deals up in good locations, assuming that we can get them for good prices.
Definitely. And you'll have a great management team alongside you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for the folks out there, anyone is interested in learning more about our mastermind, we only do a round of new members once every 3 months, once a quarter. But for anyone that wants to learn more information about it, you can go to summerscapital.com/mastermind. And you can fill out the form, book a free call with our team to learn more information about it. And we got a good group, 22 of us.
It's amazing, all across the world.
Yeah, all across the world, literally, internationally, and growing. But it's been fun. It's been a fun group, but looking to grow it more next year and excited for it.
Likewise.
Any last thoughts before we go into the new year?
Man, I feel like next year is going to bring us so much that we can't expect or don't even know what it's going to hold. I mean, thinking about us just welcoming ourselves into this office space almost exactly a year ago, like we were embarking on a whole new adventure. And just to think about where we thought we were going to be last year around this time and where we are right now, it's just night and day different. And so really excited for what this coming year is going to bring and where we're all going to take ourselves. Yeah.
I'm excited. Big things happening next year. And, I wish all the listeners the best and a happy holidays. Excited for everything. And just grateful for everything that we built this year, Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I think that concludes this episode of the Saturday edition. She's Jennifer Booby. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.